Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and friends beyond the binary, it's time for the podcaster. If I had antenna or antennae, I don't know if I'd say. What if I had 10 antennae? I'd say, can I put you to sleep? It would probably like they could be a tongue twister. Whether my antennae were organic or for tuning into stuff. I hope you're tuning in now for some silly lulls, because that's what I'm here to provide, because it's time for Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. And if you're a regular listener, if you're new, there's a couple of minutes of business here. If you're a regular listener, if you could pay attention or remember, when your hand hits the fridge tomorrow, go to sleepwithmepodcast.com/sponsors, because these are the ways we keep the show going. Hey, if you checked out our merch store lately, because we got some sweet stuff in there, and listeners are loving, everyone is buying that Bella Flowy tank for the spring and the summer. Our lounge pants, our sleep pants are selling really well. We're going to be adding some new stuff to the store this spring, but we've got the sleep spray, custom sleep phones, some beautiful shirts, some beautiful prints, and you can get it all at sleepwithmepodcast.com/store. So get over there, support the show, rock your merchandise, share the pics with me so I can say thanks. That's sleepwithmepodcast.com/store. Thanks. It's time for the Sleepy Supporter Zone, the part of the show I need you to hear so we can celebrate the people enabling me to bring it to you for free. And I wanted to thank Christy A., who supported Wix. Christy went to wix.com/sleep20 and got 20% off Wix premium plan. And I'd love you also, if you support Wix, let me know about your website. Now, if you're looking for a notary in the Eugene, Oregon area, you could check out Christy's site, ladyofthelakemobilenotary.com, built on Wix and supporting the show. So if you got a business, you got a project, get over to Wix.com/sleep20. Thanks, Christy. Hey, Mr. Bart, there's a lot of people that work really hard keeping this podcast coming out on a regular basis. Who are they?
Posty poster song sounds like an earful. Wrote the theme song. Edits episodes. Carl W. the legend. Also edits episodes. Kenny, Scotty, and Jennifer. Runner. Eric and the team at Astound are on the website. I am the mystery Bart. I do the lullabies, yeah. I do commissions at jonathanmann.net. Could be for Father's Day, which is coming up soon. Or could be just to say, hey, you're cool. You see the kindness shine straight on through when the listeners form their own Facebook group. Keith, Stacy, Sarah, Julie, and Jennifer. These are your narrators. Get support dear Scooter on Patreon. Buy the merch and support the sponsors. You can find anything you want at sleepwithmepodcast.com. And we're so proud that we could dance to be part of Nine Vale Presents. So now on with the show.
Thanks, Mr. Bard. I'm at Dear Scooter on Twitter and Instagram. If you ever want to skip the jingles, skip the commercials, skip the thank yous at the end of the show, any of that stuff, just become a $5 and up patron. You get ad-free episodes a little bit early, along with keeping the show going. And that's it. Let's get on with the show. Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do with the bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'll do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is I got this nice safe place here, and I've got it ready for you. You could even observe it at a distance if you wish. Sometimes, that's nice. You say, hey, I'm going to get this. You just sit over there. I'm going to set the places. I'm going to smooth it. I'm going to pat it. I'm going to rub it down. And you just watch and see if you're, kind of like if you're prepping a bed for a pet. You say, hey, I'm going to make your bed here, but you don't have to get it. Just watch me get it ready. And then maybe you'll want to get in it too. I've never tried this with a child, but maybe that's a way to say, to get them in bed. Say, hey, why don't you watch over there? I'm going to make your bed extra snuggly. Maybe tuck in an imaginary child for that extra like a little bit of play acting, or maybe talk to the pillows and say, "Hey, pillows, gonna get you comfortable here." But that's really what I'm trying to do. Then I'm going to send my voice across the deep dark night. I'm going to use lulling, soothing, creaky dulcet tones, pointless meanders, superfluous tangents. I'm going to go off topic, get confused, use filler words, pauses. We'll have a few, and then some more. But intentional and accidental pauses, gratuitous ones. Oh boy, and gratuitous jokes. Podcaster amusing himself. Also, it's been a while since I've talked about Amuse Bouche. I know the season of Top Chef started when I'm recording this. By the time you hear this, it'll probably be over. But I kind of like watching that in one big chunk, the whole season. So I haven't watched it yet. So I don't know if they made any Amuse Bouche. Amuse Bouche. It's even a hard word to say. But this podcast is kind of like it includes, I think that's like a little bite. That's what an amuse bouche is. I'm sorry, chefs and linguists. What was my point? Oh, I'm here to take your mind off stuff, to keep you company in the deep dark night. And the way I'm going to do it is, if you're new, it's a little bit different. This podcast is like one without tech. I do have microphone technique, and not on the level of the great, hip hop and R&B performers and MCs of the world, but I do have microphone technique to keep these lulling, soothing, creaky dulcet tones going. And so I can really be there for you. But if you're new, here's a couple of things to know. This show is different, and initially it won't make a lot of sense, and you'll say, what is this, or what is he doing, or what is he talking about? And sometimes you might say it in a voice that's not like that, and that's cool. It usually works best if you give the podcast a few tries kind of passively, but initially with some skepticism. I totally understand that. Structurally, what to expect, if you thought you were skeptical before, structurally, what to expect is the show starts off with a few minutes of business. That's how we keep a podcast free and keep that 90 hours of work a week it takes to keep the show going. That's the business side. Then there's like a 12 or 14-minute intro. And, a lot of times, traditionally in the history of introductions, except for big speeches where you have to, butter up the speech maker or award winners, intros are usually limited to say, hey, this is a Sleep With Me podcast to put you to sleep. Now I'm going to tell you a bedtime story. And when I first started making a podcast, it was a bit like that. But what I learned over time is that, not everybody falls asleep at the same pace, and no one, except for like some of us, fall asleep really fast. And so the intros kind of slowly evolved to be part of a lot of the listeners' wind down routine. Whether they're getting ready for bed or they're in bed, and then the day, I'm taking you into this world, the world of amusing you with my mispronunciations of amuse bouche, amusing bouches. Like you had the Mighty Boosh, and that was amusing. That's an amusing show too, and this is amusing bouche too, kind of. So. Where was I? What was my? I got booshed. I did get booshed. Now I'm picturing Julian's hair. Scooch sticking in cookies from a British show from 15 years. I say, well, yeah. Have you seen his hair? It's beautiful. Okay, so let me get back. Where was I? Oh, so I was saying, the intros are really long because I tend to try to describe the intro and how it should work, and then I go off topic. And believe me, I was interrupting going off topic because I was thinking about it. Then I started thinking about Russell Brand. One part of my brain said, those two are friends. And I said, okay, but let's get back to the new listeners. So, and then some listeners skip the intro, about 2 or 3% of people. And then more and more people are listening during the day, also part of a wind down routine or an unwinding routine. And that's kind of how the intro became settled on that, 12 to 14 to 11 to 17 to 15 to 16 to 18 or so minutes, is that It's kind of like it gives you a chance if you're new to get to know me, which you might say, okay, I've gotten to know you. Now I know I don't need to give you my full attention. I'd say job done. It also makes bedtime kind of, you say, well, I don't know what Scoots is going to talk about, because one of the things is that the variety of the show, I feel like those parts of us that are keeping us awake are very adaptable. They're somehow wound in with our human nature. And so they adapt. You might say, well, I'm going to bomb my feet, then I'm going to bomb my elbows. And that routine might work for a while to help you unwind. But as soon as it becomes predictable, maybe that, brain that's worried about spreadsheets or whatever starts carping back up. It says there's nothing amusing about these bushes. And also, so that's why the podcast has this long intro that changes every time. Because ideally, if you become a regular, so you get in bed and you say, oh boy, Scoots is going to talk about nothing for 14 minutes, but it's going to be about something kind of, and also nothing. And you say, I don't even know how it's possible, but it's like, and you say, well, describe the humor it used in the Sleep With Me podcast intro. And you say, well, hold on, I don't know if it's humorous. I'd say it's more of an amuse. So it's amusing. No, just short of amusing. It's amuse. A bit like amuse-bouche. And they'd say, isn't that like a mouthful of, it's not an appetizer because it's too small. And technically, I've seen it on Top Chef, and I think at really fancy restaurants, they give it to you, because they've charged you so much. They say, well, this is an 11-course menu if you count the amuse-bouche and the palate cleansers. And it's, yeah, I think it's just a mouthful. That's what it, and Scoots is just an ear. He's almost not an earful. You say, okay, I'm not following you. You say, yeah, exactly. That's the intro of the podcast. It took me a while to get there. Then after the intro, we will be talking about an episode of Doctor Who. In a kind of indirect, this one will be pretty indirect. You say, well, these were the character names. One of the characters' name's Scooty. And so that was cool. And so we'll talk about the episode, and then we'll kind of talk about, well, what is some of the things that I wondered about? Like, what is metallurgy? Is that actually a thing or not? That didn't come up. That's just a random example. So it's the structure of the show. In between the intro and the show is a business to keep sponsors that help keep the show free. And at the end of the show are thank yous to people that help keep the show going. So that's just structurally how the show works. And oh, yeah, you don't need to listen. I think we kind of established that. But here's the other funny thing. There's no pressure for you to fall asleep. The episodes are an hour. Because I'm here to keep you company. I'm here to take your mind off stuff, to be at your bedside, kind of clowning around, if you wish, and to be your boyfriend. So, to be almost amusing. You'd say, yeah, it's an amuse. Like, there's amusement parks, there's amusing things, there's amusements, and maybe amuse-bouche and amusements are not, but you'd say, well, that's an amusing. Ideally, I don't want to tell anybody how to do things, but here's, and I don't know if I've actually had an amuse-bouche. The last time I ate at a restaurant with courses was I don't think Golden Corral counts as. But here's a tip: if you have Golden Corral, maybe have an amuse-bouche station. What was my point? I was going to, if you're a kid listening, you're on your third or your fourth act, believe me, my life's had more than 2 acts. So don't let people, do that to you, whoever said that. So if you're a chef on your first act or your fourth act, if you're in the middle of a play playing a chef, don't stick to your play. You probably should be listening to this podcast right now. You should be out there on stage. But otherwise, if you are designing amuse-bouches, maybe a little clue could be, is this going to be amusing? And, transcendently, I mean, like the broader sense of amusing because you say, well, because a lot of these good cooks, they take you on a journey, right? Or chefs, excuse me. And I think this is just my philosophy that I just came up with now on amuse-bouche. It's like a treaty on amuse-bouche. And also illustrated pictures from the Mighty Boosh, a piece of fan fiction, and a cookbook by Scoots. Well, mostly it's not cooking; it's it's me philosophizing on making your booshes amusing or amuse. You say, "Oh boy, is that? What is that on the back of my palate there?" And is this both hot and cold at the same time? Holy mac, is this macaroni? You say, no, it's mochi. You know, that's usually what they say on the show when it's good or on those cooking shows. No, it's a mochi compote with, something they say, yeah. I remember a couple of years ago, there was sunchokes were big. This was probably like 5 seasons ago. They'd say it's a compote of mochi stuff with sunchokes. And they say, gosh darn, right? Well, I said holy macaroni, and I'm saying it again because I don't know, I wouldn't know how to say holy mochi, sunchoke, or roni. Anyway, I guess I'm off topic. I'm here to keep you company as you drift off to sleep, to be your friend, to be your board bud, because I've been there, and I believe it for you. Maybe you could believe it with me. You do deserve a good night's sleep. You deserve a life where you can flourish and where you treat yourself and you're treated with dignity and respect. And I hope I can provide a little solace, a little amuse. I guess words Scoots is overused. Amuse. Words here, Alec. I'll take words I almost rhymed for 300. What is fuse and amuse? No, those actually rhyme. Oh, that was incorrect. Oh, because I think I was supposed to say amuse and misuse. Yeah, you're right, Alec. Thanks. I'll get back to the end of the intro. Oh, it's also Alex. He just frowned at me. He wrote it on his screen. It's a host of Jeopardy. I have a mirror, like a mirror, well, anyway, another facet of my imagination, we could say, if it was only true, if I didn't have a direct 24/7 feed to Alex Trebek. You see, what happened to where the Jeopardy, when the Jeopardy became avant-garde? They say, well, that was a guy from Sleep With Me. Poor Alex, he somehow had a 24/7 feed of the Dearest Scooter in his brain. And so, yeah, he started coming up with these strange questions, and he also switched to only eating amuse-bouche. He would demand all his meals be broken into tiny mouth bites. And that took a lot of time for him to eat a meal because it would be like, 84 servings, just for lunch because they were small servings. So that was it. That was it for Jeopardy. Oh, thanks. Anyway, I'm back. So I don't know where I went, but that's kind of how the podcast works. I'm here to help. If your first few times listening, I know not everybody likes this show, and I know it doesn't work for everybody. So if you're sitting here and you're on the fence, or maybe you're feeling like, I'm not sure this is for me, give it a few tries or not. There are other Sleep With Me like shows out there, and there's plenty of audiobooks and other stuff to test out. But I'm here to help in my own unique way. But most of the listeners, and there's a good amount of listeners to this show, and 90% of them say it took 2 or 3 tries till the show started working for me, and I understood it's the boosh part of it. I got that he was barely amusing right away. But what was the meaning of a boosh? Like a bit like a whoosh or so that's it. I'm here to help. I work very hard at this show, and I strive and I yearn because I really want to help you fall asleep. Thank you so much for your time and for coming by. And here's a couple of ways we keep the show going. So, if you're still with us and you could pay attention, it's a huge help in keeping the podcast out there for everybody. Thanks. Hey, before we get to the story here, I just ask you if I could have your attention for a second. If you're a regular listener to the show, if you're not, don't worry about it. But if you listen to like a couple episodes a week or 8 episodes a month or 8 episodes a night, I just ask if you'd take some time right now or tomorrow and just kind of do some mental math of like, okay, I listen to 16 hours of Sleep With Me a month. Is there any other service I use for 16 hours? Well, TV, yeah, maybe. Well, that's $120 a month, my cable bill or whatever. Okay, movie services, maybe 4 hours a month. Music, it's about 15. Okay, well, what do you pay for those services? And you don't necessarily have to pay for Sleep With Me. That's a cool thing. But if you decide that you value Sleep With Me as much as those other things you pay for, consider paying for Sleep With Me. It's rebellious to pay for a free podcast. But when you do it, you support it, you keep it there, you keep it free for you and everybody else. And it's really something that's cool. Like I don't know how else to say it, but the people, if you're already a patron, thank you for doing that. Or if you support a sponsor or something like that, thank you so much, because you're helping keep the show going. That's what I say every time, and I mean it. And if you say, wait a second, I can't believe I watched that. I subscribed to that movie service and I only watch 2 movies a month, but I listen to 40 hours of Sleep With Me a month. Get over to sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. Become a patron. You'll get an ad-free podcast feed. You'll get a ton of cool stuff in that feed. And you'll be making sure the show's there for you and everybody else. Sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. Thanks. All right. So we're here talking about season 2, episode 8 or 9, depending on how you define where it falls. If you're watching on Amazon Prime, though, it's episode 9. But in the official schedule, it was episode 8. It's a long story, but the title of the episode is The Impossible Planet. And it is a 2-parter, and oh boy, are those 2 hands are full of parts, so holy mackerel. And it opens, at first I thought the TARDIS was in a warehouse, which it kind of is. You kind of see something that looks like a conveyor belt type thing and stuff looking like it is being stored. The TARDIS has, indigestion. That was funny. Rose says, and then Rose says, we could go somewhere else. It looks weird here. They have a big laugh about that. I think we're in a cupboard. But they talk about the indigestion. What does this say? Doctor, have a lunch, door 15. Let me see. Like like the TARDIS didn't want to land inside a cupboard. Oh, they try to figure out we're on some kind of base, moon base, sea base, space base, built out of a kit. And every time they open and close the door, it says, open door 15, close door 15, open door 16, close door 16. The doctor mentions, where was I? Oh, the flat packs, and this case was built in a kit. And he says, oh, wait a second, this is a sanctuary base. That's the thing. Flat pack wardrobe. Deep space. He goes, this is a deep space exploration base. And then this is like where they're hearing things. This came up a couple of times in the first season. And he goes, listen to that, Rose. It's a drilling. It says interesting. And then there's a big sign on the wall. The doctor says, hold on, what's that? It says, welcome to Hockey Sticks Academy, where we double your hockey. Like there's 2 hockey sticks. And then there's these words that the doctor can't read. They haven't been translated. He goes, I thought, or Rose says, I thought the TARDIS translated everything. Then we hear some string music. And the doctor goes, that's weird. We're beyond the reach of TARDIS's knowledge. We got to find out who's in charge. Writing's got to be old, impossibly old, which brought up how old is the TARDIS, which I did look into. Then they open door 19, and the doctor goes, hey, nice base. There's these creatures, ends up they're called the Ood. And they say, hey, we're here to bring you lunch, basically. A little bit of a tease out before the opening. But all in fun and misdirection. They say, geez, we must feed our guests here. And then there's music. They go, we're having some trouble communicating, but do you want any refreshments? Then door 18 opens and humans come out. And they say, what in the Hockey Sticks Academy is going on here? And they kind of looked like they were in the army or something. That's what I put, army units. Leather coats. We got people here, referring to the doctor and Rose. And they go back to their commander, who says that's not possible. How would we have visitors on a space base out here? Which the doctor's a little confused. And they go, how'd you get here? And the doctor goes, I don't even know where we are. Then they go, hang on. We have this academy. The reason we double your hockey sticks is because we have off-road Zamboni, which is what we're riding in. And they say, hold on. And then everything starts getting very, very bumpy. In something big one, 5-alarm, star shunting, TNG. Oh, when it's bumping, it was like a TNG when they pretend like everything's shaking. Then they have this OMG moment. They say, real people. I can't believe we got other real people there. The doctor goes, yeah, hooray, real people. And Rose goes, yeah, I'm Rose Tyler, definitely real. This is the doctor. And they say, come on, this really is real people. They go back and forth. We could get a little bit more of a tease of who the Ood are. Doctor goes, where are we? What planet are we on? And they go, this isn't a planet. Why would it have a name? It's not a planet. It's a Hockey Sticks Academy. Then they do a check-in. Doctor does not have a name. Not so bad. Not so bad. Shake effects. We meet Ida, Danny, Toby, not my, AKA not my department, Toby. Yeah, he's one of the characters. Zach, Commander Zach. Zachary Cross of Flame. Like I said, that's a pretty cool name. Ida is a science officer. They say, well, this is a storm. They say, no, there's no storm. It's no atmosphere. So Zachary Cross Flame is captain. Mr. Jefferson's in charge of safety, making sure everybody has their skates and their helmets. Danny Bartok is in charge of ethics. Toby Zed is in charge of saying, it's not my department. Scooty, Minista. So we first get our first Scooter-like character. She's a trainee in maintenance. And then the character speaking, who is Ida, I believe, says, this is home. Then a door opens in the ceiling, and we see that the Hockey Stick Academy is somehow floating above a black hole, which they say is impossible. They say, we're in orbit around it. And the doctor says, you can't be. And they say perpetual geosynchronous orbit or whatever, geostationary orbit. Ida says, and they say, discuss. Doctor goes, and Rose must have not missed one of the only interesting science lessons other than dinosaurs, which was black holes. Or maybe the doctor just explains her because she says, what's that? I mean, I think she knows what because she says, yeah, we should be pulled in, right? And the doctor goes, yeah. And they go, so what's up there making all of the shaking? What are we driving? And they said, we're driving on stars. So we get a Zamboni that drives on stars. Let's see what else. Just discuss. Let's see. Welcome aboard. A bit worse than a storm. We get a cool view of the base and the rocks. Then Toby goes out door 28. He's got blueprints. And he hears some whispering. He says, "Who's that?" And they say, "Former director of this academy in the competition with an ancient hockey stick method." He also says the Ray Rocket Link is fine, or somebody says that. Somebody says something about K-37 gems or gems. They talk about crop tour, and it's a better pill to swallow. Oh, they're trying to figure out. That was what the black hole is. K-37 Gen 5. Then. According to the Faltino, this is called Crop Tour, the bitter pill. And the black hole swallowed and then spit it back out. And Rose goes, "I like it." And the doctor goes, "Well, how did you get out here?" And they go, "We flew in because of the gravity field somehow kept constant. The gravity funnel." And Rose goes, "You flew in here like a roller coaster?" They go, "Yeah, but we shouldn't have. But we made it. We're really looking for the power, or whatever's powering that. It could solve everything. Solve it. Gravity funnel. Oh, I'd like this term, needs must. Phenomenal amounts of power. What does that say? Calvatavator. What was your name? We have noidals. Let me look here. Rose tries to meet the Ood, but they say we don't have names. We're kind of like a collective being. Doctor also picks up a calculator and starts doing some calculating. We find out the Ood are a bit like droids. They get stuck working without pay. And Scooty even calls Rose a friend of the Ood. She goes, "Since when is this cool that you could just make a collective beings work for you?" Let's see. And the doctor goes, "Geez, to generate that gravity field, you need a power source with the inverted self reflux, 6 to the power of 6 every 6 seconds. Triple sixes, if you catch my drift." And they go, "How'd you figure that out so fast? Took us like a bunch of, years to figure that out." And doctors, "I'm good." And they go, "Yeah, we've been digging down 10 miles below to find the power source. 90 stats on Blazing scale or something." Rose goes, "What are you, chief dramatist?" That was a great joke, which doctor thought was very funny too. And they said, "Well, there's some great civilization." I think Toby's that's what the writing is. I can't translate it. And that's probably what the power source is. It's built, it called us in. That's why we're here. And the doctor goes, "What was your name?" And he says to the captain. Zach goes, he goes, "Zach, right?" Zach goes, "Yep." And the doctor goes, "What made you come here?" He gets all human loving again because he was here, and he has to give Zach a big hug. He goes, "I'm gonna hug you. Is that all right?" And he gives it's a very sweet moment because it seemed like Zach needed a hug, and it was a really genuine, good hug. Zach accepted it. Lots of human love. The doctor loves humans. He goes, "You amazing human beings." And he goes, "You should get out of here. I don't know what you're doing here anyway." And they go, "How'd you get here?" And the doctor goes, "Oh, my ship. It was in the habitation area 3. And they go, "You mean storage 6? And they go, "Yeah, cupboard or something." And then they go, "Oh boy, that one fell down the well or something. We probably won't hear from that for a while." Oh, also when the doctor was doing all the human loving, Rose was loving his loving. We also get some good views of the doctor's tie and ascot. Oh, it's a very slow burn of the missing TARDIS. And there's like Mission Impossible music playing. Doctor gets to door 16, it won't open. TARDIS is gone. The door's out of commission. You can't believe, disbelief. And then there's a zoom out for the whole base. Then we talk about, what does it say? Robot drills and duty rosters. We've only recently tinging our, well, let me see what that says. Let's see. They just talk about drilling. Oh, here's let's see. TARDIS must have got down. Oh, we only have one drill, one shaft. That's all we got equipment for. So, we could give you a lift back once we're done. And the doctor kind of worries, oh boy, I got Rose into another one. And Rose goes, Doc, we're right at a hockey academy that doesn't even teach hockey, that has an off-road Zumba or whatever. Don't worry, this is wild. Let's see. The doctor apologizes to Rose. They have a sad hug with a zoom out. Sides like real Codal slides. It seemed like they are on tape. Oh, like it looks like there's slides, photograph slides, for a slide projector on their table. Then they have a night working playlist, Ravel's Bolero, Gamma Fantry. I don't know what that's. But there's a dude working in luggage. Toby starts walking near door 38. He says, "Stop it! A damn old template of Ood is missing." Or the temperature of the Ood habitat is rising, actually. And Toby goes to door 38. He's trying to find something. He keeps hearing that old hockey coach who says, "There's a better way. Toby, join me." Then it's lunchtime. Rose says the Ood says to her, "You want some sauce with that?" She goes, "Oh, yeah, I'll give it a go." And she says, I was a dinner lady once in an earlier episode this season. It looked like, or maybe they did give her a soy sauce and a brown sauce. I think they might have had two sauces. I put Ood Freudian slip. Oh, yeah, the Oods keep having Freudian slips about wanting to take baths and hang glide, which doesn't have anything to do with hockey. You see a 3D drilling model that made me say WTF for some reason. Then we could close door 3. Toby gets woken up, and they sing. The old hockey coach sings "Total Eclipse of the Heart." He says, "Don't turn around." And he says, "You have so many names, nicknames, Sweet Skates, the Pucky LaRue, so many, he goes, that's what I'm known as, but don't look, then the language is going off the paper in the pottery, and then it's on Toby in a henna-style tattoo. This is really interesting. It's tough to follow stuff. Then Zach, they say, oh boy, the Scarlet System, something, a big moment in history. Oh yeah, this is kind of interesting. Red Cloud used to be a Scarlet System, home to a mighty civilization spanning 1 billion years. And it goes into the black hole, really watching time. But I thought Ida was a little too enthusiastic about that and too enthralled. Considering the moment. They say, leave it open. The doctor says, I want to keep looking. Don't worry, it won't bother me. How do you dine her? That just eats, the black hole just eats things. Because Rose says, isn't it a gateway to the universe? The doctor goes, not that one. This one's just an eater. Let's see. Scooty has to go check on some doors. Rose's phone's out of range. She can't call her mom, so they have another thing about it. I'm supposed to get you back to Jackie. The actor goes, we're 500 years from anywhere. Can you build a TARDIS? No, this was really important. The TARDISes are grown and not built, so we're, kind of stuck. The doctor goes, well, what are we going to do? We get a ride from them? And Rose goes, yeah, and then we'll live our lives together. Maybe we'll hold hands and stuff, have a proper house. I think the doctor says that. I could settle down in a house now. That's pretty wild. So they have some laughs about it, but, doctor returns he says, I told Jackie I'd get you home. And Rose goes, don't worry, we'll sort it out. And she says, everyone leaves home in the end. And I don't mind being stuck with you. That's pretty sweet. Then the phone rings. He's awake. Somebody says on the other line, and they mean the old hockey coach. Then Toby wakes up. There's a drama. There's a rush to the Ood. We learn they communicate by a low-level telepathic field. But it's up to basic 30. It's only supposed to be at basic 5. So, you could tell the Ood a basic. They wouldn't even they'd say, sure, that's the field we communicate on. But a basic 30 means they're hearing something loud or something. And then the Ood starts talking about a better hockey academy, like they're some sort of viral advertiser. For another company, though, they say this hockey academy is not as good as another one, an ancient one. Let's see. They see a hockey academy where you could worship the founder. Scooty's looking for Toby, open door 41. What? She goes, what do you mean? Someone went outside without a spacesuit on? Without hockey skates? Snowsuit, not a spacesuit, but both of those. Then what does this say? Static, he's awake. He bathes in the black sun. That's how tough this hockey coach thinks he is. That's what he claims one of his nicknames is. Which I say, well, that's a pretty big nickname to claim for yourself, cowboy. Toby kind of goes into this like laughing state, a bit like a movie, but I do like from a long time ago. And then he has some sort of hockey force. Scooty looks at him. She's like, what are you doing outside? And he forces a hull breach, which he says, Scooty, you're going to the other academy. But that, upsets the balance of the ship. Everyone runs around for a while till they get the breach sealed. Toby sneaks back and tries to play it cool. But Scooty's gone to the new, she actually ends up going to the academy, a great academy in the sky. Because they say there's 2 academies competing with this other hockey academy. One in the ancient pits, other in the black hole. So Scooty goes to the black hole to go to the hockey academy. Toby has his hands behind his back in habitation for 3. Have sun protectant on with a dash of 3, not here, or a big black hole in the sky. Let me look at what any of that means. The breach sealed. It could go habitation 3. I could use a drink. Protein 1 with a dash of 3. Oh, that's one of the Rose's drinks that she likes that they make on the ship. They say, well, this is when they find out they get Scooty's letter. Sorry, I decided to go to another thing, even though we were friends. And she had that sweet nickname, Scooty, her real name. I say, well, I'm going to miss that. And they say that she decided to do that 43K 2.1. I guess that's the year. And they really take it hard. There's some big music kind of underline that she's on the count. Maybe she was their young rookie star. I mean, was it weird that I had a crush on Scooty, even though she has the same nickname as me? Then they say the drill just stopped. We made it to 0.0. Then they say, let's put a hold on the Ood because they're acting like they want to work at this other academy. We got to go down and check where the drill ended up. The doctor goes, I'm going. And they get into spacesuits. And let's see, it's tough. See you later. Not if I see you first. That's what the doctor and Rose go back and forth. They have a laugh, then a serious moment, then the music rises, then she gives them a helmet kiss. Then they say, we can't override they say, Danny says, ooh, stay here. No overrides. You got that? And they all just sit there. So the doctor and Ida are going to go down in the well in spacesuits. There's a capsule countdown for them to go down there. They somebody salutes them and Rose waves goodbye. What's his name is looking at his hands like he had to, too many, like he's silly. I mean, there's lots of 3D maps, and descent shots, a little bit like back in, was that Seabase Alpha in Disney World, where you went on a pretend elevator, the hydrolator. They say, hey, breathing is good. Make sure everybody's breathing. Doctor Rose says that, I think, to the doctor. The Udall kind of stand and turn, their arms at their sides. Everything is still heading out now. Massive. So the doctor, everything is still. The doctor and I had to head out of the tube into this massive cave. They use a gravity globe, which is kind of like a frozen floating lantern. I forget which it's the same as the Harry Potter one, Incantorum or some incandescent to Phantorum Incantorum. It's a big chamber. There's kind of like a giant temple with some statues. Ida says we got to go north to northwest. And they say, well, we can't really read you down there. Not really good. And she goes, okay, well, let's just go this way. There's no headed back. And the doctor goes, those are not things you're supposed to say. And this was a shout out to the EastEnders. He says, it's almost as bad as nothing can go wrong. This is going to be the best Christmas Walford's ever had. So a little subtle cross promotion. Then the Ood are staring at Danny. They hit up, they say, Danny, you're basic 100. Then they find a big metal disc or a seal. Looks like, and they say, is this a door that opens? It's 30 feet in diameter. Then Danny is back in his henna tattoos, and he's kind of pulling like a little bit of the scene from Dustbusters, a movie, like he like a little bit like a Gozer. He's pulling a Gozer, and you see, is that Gozer or is that Sigourney Weaver or is that Danny? And they say report back or something, and then Toby stretches out, and the Gozer thing passes on to the Ood and out of Toby. The doctor wants to go back up the tube to check on Rose. All the Oods start using their lights. They say, oh boy, like everything's going to HE double hockey sticks in a basket at this Hockey Sticks Academy. Yeah, because they say, what are the Danny's was acting weird. Now the Ood are trouble. The Ood start running, trying to run the show. The doctor doesn't want to know what's going on. Zach, with a cool name, he can't get a hold of anybody. And then the Oods start talking as a group. They go, yeah, we're working at the new hockey academy. Look at this team we're going to have. We're calling ourselves the Hockey Legion. The Legion will be many. The Legion shall be few. And they go, we don't know what's going on. They say, yeah, Abaddon, Croptor. Really, this is going to be like the best hockey academy. Just like that movie. And everyone's confused clearly because they say, well, we had our own academy. And it was really just a cognitive dissonance device to get us through being stuck on this planet outside a black hole. It's not even a real hockey academy. We were just play acting. And now we have a competitor. Then they find out, oh boy, there's a real shaking because the whole academy's moving, not just the Zamboni. They say the doctor's unsure of which way to go downstairs. Gravity field's losing orbit. The door that was sealed is opening up. And coming from the door that opens is the head of the hockey academy saying, my hockey academy is going to be free. And everyone says, free academy that's real and not imaginary. We better wait till next week for the rest of the episode. All right, let's run through some stuff that came up in this episode. This was from newatlas.com, August 20th, 2018. Nick Lavars wrote this article. 5 of the finest of flat pack homes. And talk about making me wish I had property. This is really cool. And I'll be quoting and reading directly from it. There's a little doubt that the neatly packaged nature of a certain Swedish furniture maker's products are a big reason for its success. And lately we've been looking into how that can translate into alternative housing solutions, whether it's convenience of fast pop-up style construction or the ability to transport complete housing kits to locations, low cost. Prefabricated flat pack homes are emerging as an increasingly popular option for house hunters around the globe. So there's a few of them. Cubico's CUBICCO hurricane-resistant homes. They offer a range of them from small shelters to homes with a couple of bedrooms, sustainably sourced wood, vertical gardens, green roofs, solar, rainwater harvesting. And they can stand up to winds of 290 kilometers an hour, starting at about 60K US. Then there's the Bright Space by Ava Systems. It can operate on or off grid. Rainwater harvesting takes about 6 weeks to assemble. Weather resistant hardwood siding or stucco. A tasteful mix of high end materials: bamboo, maple, oak. Starts at about 90K during installation. This one it's DI house by Renato Vidal. This one looks pretty sweet. It's A-frame. Renato Vidal, Italian architect, created this home from cross-laminated timber and did so in a way that enables it to be shipped out and folded open on site, forming a complete 2-level house in less than a day. Unfolded home has a height of 21.3 feet, can be extended by adding more modules. The furnishings come on mounting boards, can be installed in a day, about $933 per square meter. There's the Plushus by Minark, 320 square foot flat pack home, assembled in a few days on site. All furnishings cut to size to keep waste to a minimum. Recycled materials, high insulation values, 40% more energy efficient than traditional homes. 3 sizes from $37,000 to $49,000. There's the Kiss House, which reaches the gold standard for energy efficiency, uses cross-laminated timber, is gaining recognition as a sustainable alternative. Comes in 3 different sizes, from 2 to 4 bedrooms, with a 923.5 square foot footprint. Arrives as stacks of panels, prefabbed off-site that can be assembled on a prepared slab in 3 to 4 days. They can be carried anywhere in the world. About $2,500 per square meter. So that's like around a 200K, right? 1,000 would be 85,000 per square meter. Yeah. So about, yeah, that's not inexpensive. So those are some prefab houses. It also brought up what's cross-laminated timber. So I looked that up on Wikipedia. Also known as CLT, is a wood panel product made from gluing layers of solid sawn lumber together. So you've probably seen this look before. Each layer of boards is oriented perpendicular to adjacent layers and glued on the wide faces of the board, usually in a symmetric way so that the outer layers have the same orientation. Usually an odd number of layers is most common. The regular, just makes it more stiff and rigid structurally, kind of like plywood. It was sort of first developed in Germany and Austria in the 90s. But then in the 2000s, it got wider usage in Europe, in various building systems, because it's more sustainable. So it usually it's split up into different steps. You can read more about it via the show notes. It's interesting. What about string instruments? We talk about it a lot, but let's look at the musical instruments that produce sound from vibrating strings. You can pluck the strings or hit them or rub them with a bow or, tie, those are a few of my favorite things. Like the harpsichord, which I love. It is plucked by when you press the keys. With bowed instruments, the player rubs the strings with a horsehair bow, causing them to vibrate. With a hurdy-gurdy, a musician operates a mechanical wheel that rubs the strings. Now, the early string instruments date to around 1300 BCE, seen in a cave painting in France, which may depict a musical bow. And actually, a hunting bow is used as a single-stringed instrument, and it developed from there. Bow harps, lyres. Oh, sorry, even those, we've seen Roman and Greek horse people playing lyres, which eventually led to them being able to play dyads and chords. Another innovation occurred when the bow harp was straightened out and a bridge was used to lift the strings off the neck, creating the lute. This picture of the, archaeological digs discovered some in ancient Mesopotamian sites, some lyres. And there's other discoveries. So just a little bit about the history of stringed instruments. They did try to find the age of the TARDIS. I don't know if I did though. Let's see. Or anything else we haven't talked about. I know we've briefly talked about it. TARDISes are grown, as stated by the 10th Doctor in the Impossible Planet. And they can only be grown on Doctor's home planet of Gallifrey. They draw power from several sources, but primarily from the Eye of Harmony, said to be the nucleus of a black hole created by the early Time Lords, a singularity. They also draw power from the entire universe, as we covered earlier this season. Let's see. Other elements needed include mercury, Zetion 7, trachnoid time crystals, arton energy. Must also be primed with the biological imprint of a Time Lord, which just happens when the Time Lord operates it for the first time. I'm looking for ages, though. They're shown to be incredibly rugged and can withstand almost anything. Let's see. Yeah, they can deal with that. The Doctor's TARDIS is an obsolete Type 40 TT capsule borrowed from a repair shop. Let's see. The 40 TT's navigational systems have malfunctioned. It was already old when the first doctor took it, but the age is not specified. Time Lord Professor Chronitis says that Type 40 models came out when he was a boy, and there was originally 305 registered Type 40s, but all the others had been decommissioned and replaced by newer models. So it's interesting. The doctor's got a hoopty of a TARDIS in a good way. Yeah, the doctor had been on board, at least as far as we know. In 1978, it had been 523 years. 2011, 700 years. In 2013, probably 900 years, depending on what episode. So yeah, it could be. It's pretty old. Wouldn't say ancient because I just wouldn't. But I guess it depends on how you decide that. What about Space Space Casper Buddy? He was a superhero with a different name created by Hanna-Barbera. Believe it or not, in the 60s, he had teen sidekicks Jan and Jason Blip. And in the 90s, Space Ghost Space Buddy was a host of a show, Space Buddy Coast to Coast, on a Cartoon Network and Adult Swim. I don't know what made me think of this, but it debuted in 66. Let's see, when I first encountered him, Space Buddy would deal with Moltar, Zorak, Metalis, Brack, and Brack. The original series has shared time with an unrelated segment called Dino Boy in the Lost Valley. There were 42 Space Buddy episodes and 18 Dino Boy episodes. And it was voiced by Gary Owens. Then in 81, there was 22 new segments on Space Stars on NBC. Was this when I first saw it? I don't think so. That would have been, I think I was too young. I guess so. Maybe it was on some sort of recap because I don't think I saw it in 1981. Then Space Buddy started a show in 94. Wow, this happened in 94? It was a late night interview show. Ghost guests included Beck, David Byrne, Bill Nye, Penn and Teller, Hanson, Joel Hodgson, Jim Carrey, John Benjamin, John Stewart, Conan, Thurston Moore, Weird Al, Timothy Leary, and Mark Hamill. Relies on absurd, surreal. Oh, here's Cartoon Planet. This is what I saw. Maybe 95. No, I guess not. When would I have watched this? I thought it was part of some other show. But let's see. So I guess that didn't really give us any information when I would have saw it. But interesting, beloved thing. Another show. Which came up, I don't know where this, because Rose says, yeah, we're real people. This was a TV show, Real People, which has come up a couple times. Byron Allen was on it, and he owns the Weather Channel, which was mentioned in an episode of The Good Place. And also somebody was a guest on it that we covered recently, but it was a show that aired Wednesdays from 8 to 9 p.m. on NBC from 1979 to 1984. So again, I guess 8 p.m. I wouldn't have been watching this in 84, but I somehow encountered it. It featured a panel of seated hosts and a large studio audience, pre-filmed segments, comedic banner. And each segment was a visit with someone with a unique occupation or hobby. Occasionally, someone was brought into the studio. In the early seasons, it was very popular at the top of the ratings and a rare hit when NBC was third. They also had segments called Funny Pictures, Funny Newspaper Errors, where people would get a Real People T-shirt. It also covered serious topics. Regular hosts Sarah Purcell, Byron Allen, Bill Raftery, Mark Russell, Peter Billingsley, Fred Willard, John Barber. Had a batch of imitators. Oh, that's incredible. That's probably a show I remember. That's My Line. It was syndicated, so that's where I would have seen it. And edited into 30-minute segments called More Real People. They tried doing spin-offs in the 80s. Real Kids was one of them, starring Peter Billingsley. Then let's see what else we got here. Oh, that's really it. I can't remember who was a guest on there. Someone that came up. But no, I don't know. That we said, oh, okay. What about the term FYI? It means for your information. But usage dates back as far as 1941. It was in a 1959 episode of a TV show. And FYIs are a subset of RFC series, requests for comments. So just in case, FYI, what is this one? I don't know what this one is. Sometimes my notes don't complete. It's a Wikipedia article. Oh, Bela Bartok, because there was a character named Bartok, a Hungarian composer, a big fan of Bartok. I am ethnomusicologist, 1881 to 1945. Let's see, childhood, early career. I want to get to like his, like a music theory, but this is mostly music. Music reflects two trends that dramatically changed the sound of music in the 20th century. One was the breakdown of the diatonic system of harmony that had served composers for the previous 200 years. And like musical inspiration from his own country, Hungary. In the search for new forms of tonality, Bartok turned to Hungarian folk music as well as other folk music of the Carpathian Basin, as well as other folk music from the Carpathian Basin, even into Algeria and Turkey. And in doing so, he became influential in that stream of modernism, which used indigenous music and techniques. One characteristic of his style is his night music, which is mostly used in slow movements of multi-movement ensemble or orchestral compositions in his mature period, with dissonance providing a backdrop to sounds of nature and lonely melodies. His music can group into different periods of his life, which you could read about. Let's just see what. Yeah, I guess we read more about it because interesting though. We also had some other ones that I'll link to that I don't have quite get to, but tunnel boring machines, soy sauce, basic, North by Northwest. Well, let's close out with a little lyrics from a song that has to turn around. A song called "Total Eclipse of the Heart" by Bonnie Tyler. I turn around every now and then. I get a little bit lonely, and you're never coming round. I turn around every now and then. I get a little bit tired of listening to the sounds of my tears. I turn around every now and then. I get a little bit nervous that all the best years have gone by. I turn around every now and then. I get a little bit, worried, and then I see that look in your eyes. Turn around, bright eyes. Every now and then I get down. I turn around, bright eyes. Every now and then, I lie down and I roll up. I turn around. Every now and then I get a little bit restless and I dream of something wild. Turn around. Every now and then I get a little bit helpless and I'm lying like a child in your arms. Turn around. Every now and then I get a little bit annoyed and I go, I've got to get out and cry. I turn around. Every now and then I get a little bit worried, but then I see the look in your eye. And I need you now tonight, and I need you more than ever. And if only You hold me tight. We'll be holding on forever. And we'll only be making it right because we'll never be wrong. Together we can take it to the end of the line. Your love is like a shadow on me all of the time. I don't know what to do and I'm always in the dark. We're living like a powder keg, giving off sparks. I really need you tonight. Forever is going to start tonight. Once upon a time I was falling in love, but now I'm only falling apart. There's nothing I can do. It's like a total eclipse of the heart. Once upon a time, there was a light in my life, and now there's only love in the dark. Nothing I can say. A total eclipse of the heart. But I think if the doctor read this song, he'd say, watch the second episode because it's going to work out great. You never got to worry when you have the doctor, because he would say that this hockey academy might look like it's in a good have an eclipse. But he said your expectations are what's going to be eclipsed in the most happiest of ways. So, yeah, here we go. Some thank yous. All right. I want to thank everybody for support of the show on Patreon. Sleep With Me exists because of people that directly support the show on Patreon and other means and directly support the sponsors. And that's how I'm able to make the show and keep it released for free. So I'm really appreciative of all the people that go out of their way to put their hard-earned money behind the show or behind the companies that support the show. And these are some of our newest direct supporters on Patreon. Josh, Catherine, and Sydney. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Peter, Alex, and Miranda. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Cindy, Sydney, and Aaron. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Amy, Don, and Christina. Thanks, and good night. Erica, Ginger, and Donna. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Marie, Christopher, and Caitlin. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Kristen, Amanda, and Jessa. Thanks, and good night. Joseph, Wendy, and Alan. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. John, Ruth, and Julie. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Renee, Jessica, and Nat. Thanks, and good night. Teresa, Lynette, and Krista Borg. Thanks, and good night. Joan, Val, and Jack. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Di, Sharon, and Diana. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Ava, Nia, and Kine. Thank you. Thanks, good night. Lorraine, Alex, and Anita. Thanks, good night. Dan, Nick, and Steve. Thank you. Thanks, good night. Salvo, Roger, and Amy. Thank you. Thanks, good night. Christina, Claire, and Nicolette. Thank you. Thanks, good night. Alex, Michaela, and Sharon. Thanks, good night. Laura, Jessica, and Adrian. Thank you. Thanks, good night. Joanna, Lindy, and Ashley. Thanks, good night. Emily, Claire, and Rusty. Thanks, good night. Penny, Frank, and Robin. Thanks, good night. Bailey, Cranulation, and Jade. Thanks, good night. Tanisa, Heather, and Susanna. Thanks, good night. Stuart, Anna, and Anna. Thanks, good night. It's to Anna C. and Anna R. Or Anna C. and Anna R. Tristan, Lauren with an I and D. Thanks, good night. Philip, Mark, and Catherine. Thanks, good night. Eliza, Aurora, and Fox. Thanks, good night. Ariel, Maisie, and Stephanie. Thanks, good night. And Angela, Clark, and Christine. Thanks, good night. Thanks, everybody, for supporting the show. Couldn't do without you. Sleep With Me also grows because of people that spread the word out there. So thank you for doing that. We're sharing in your online communities or person to person. Sleep With Me is a proud member of Night Vale Presents. You can check out all the amazing shows over at nightvalepresents.com. We're also a member of PRX. So you can check out everything PRX does at prx.org, including Radiotopia, which is another great podcast network of shows. You can check out all those shows at Radiotopia. And I believe that's it. Let's tuck you in here. There's plenty more episodes ready to go. I'll be here all night if you need it. Thank you so much. Good night.